Mm. Hi guys. Saturday night. Okay, right. First Day of My Life by Bright Eyes. Okay, capo, fret 4. Yeah. So the guy in the video gives you, yes, lots of options. The first one, ways of playing it. The first one is the strumming. Now, when you see the tab that he gives you, they're counting it in 2/4. You see bars of 2/4. And in which case, which is true, that is how you would count it. And so the strumming would be counted as 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a. So that is just as 2 beats in a bar, and each beat is split into 4 units, 1E and a, 2E and a. So that's 8 units. And when you see the Ultimate Guitar lyric and chord sheet, that is, they count it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, yeah? And so they're counting the strumming as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's exactly the same as what's actually happening, the strumming is exactly the same. 1E and a 2E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Yeah, it's just different ways of counting it. One is counting it as 16th notes, 1, E, and A, which means that you've got 4 lots of 4 in a bar of 4, so they're called 16th notes. And his tab is counting it. Sorry, his tab is counting it as the 16th notes when you got when you've got. Oh, I got distracted. Somebody sent me a message. Right, sorry. Right. So his tab is counting it as 2/4 and 16th notes, 1 eander, and most people on the web, hence the Ultimate Guitar, is counting it as 4/4 and 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, which is 8 units in a bar of 4. Yeah. Doesn't really matter. Count it. Whatever makes sense to you. The main thing is that his tab shows you the right number of bars. Yeah, so you could count each of his bars as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or you could count it as 1 eander, 2 eander, which I find probably harder to do. 1 eander, 2 eander, 1 eander, 2 eander. So when he shows, the first thing he shows, 2 bars of C. Let me just make sure he does that. Yes. No. And he doesn't as well. So he shows a bar of C and then a bar of this E over B, which is simply the chord E. And as he says in the video, just your lowest note is the A string. And you don't want to hear that E string. If you do hear the E string, it doesn't matter. In the actual recording, there's a bass. By the way, it's a fretless bass. Very interested to hear that. But there's a bass, and he's playing E. So, if you put E in there on your guitar, fine. Because as he points out, there's 2 guitars on the recording, and one of them's doing strumming, and one of them's doing picking. So. So no need to worry about being too exact about anything, because this, as a single guitarist, as a solo guitarist, it's an approximation. Anyway, what I was saying is, in his tab, you see it's written as 2/4, but he shows a bar of C, bar of E, then a bar of A minor, and a bar of A minor 7. And so the main thing is, it's about ratios, yeah? He's got the ratio right, and if you count it as 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a, you can count it like that, or you can think of it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, yeah, it works as long as you're spending however you count it, either way, as long as you spend a bar of however you're counting on C, a bar on E over B, and then 2 bars on A minor, 1 on A minor, 1 on A minor 7. And then you've got a bar on F, bar on G, and then 2 bars on C. And then you've got the third line, and you've got C, E over B, A minor 7 again. and then in the fourth line you've got D7 for 2 bars, G for 2 bars, and then you have the chorus. Okay, so I was just looking at his tab then, and now I'm going to switch to looking at the ultimate guitar thing, because I don't know the words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play along. Let me just see if I'm in shot. I'm going to play along, looking at the words, looking at the lyrics, and I'm going to be doing the strumming pattern that he showed you. And even in the ultimate guitar, they show you exactly the same strumming pattern: down, down, up, except when he's showing it to you, the first down, instead of a full strum, instead of down, down, up, he does thumb, down, up. Yeah, you can do it any way you want. Yeah, you can go thumb, down, up, or you can go down, up. It's kind of nicer, I think, to get that single note at the beginning, because it sounds a bit more like the song. As you've noticed, I suppose, he's doing the strumming with just the first finger, yeah? Pluck, down, up. Now you could, as we usually do, as people usually do, you could go pluck, down with the fingernails, down with 3 fingers, down, up, and up with the thumbnail, down with the fingernails, up with the thumbnail. So the more usual way of strumming, you could do that. Yeah, so I'm going down with the fingernails of my first 3 fingers and up with my thumbnail. However, it does give a different sound. Obviously that's louder than this. And this is a gentle song, isn't it? And so this more gentle approach suits it, I find. And there's a bonus: if you're doing down, up with your finger, your thumb doesn't have to go from an up strum and then a down pluck on a single string. So it doesn't have to go from this big movement to this small movement and find the single string, which I think is the most difficult part of this, of that bass drum style, when you do go pluck, down, up with the thumb, pluck, yeah? So I would do, even if you're not used to it, I would start to try to do the strumming style, the strumming technique that he does of thumb, down, up with the first finger, yeah? And the drawback of this style is that when you start, it can be quite easy when you're doing an up strum with the finger, it can be quite easy for it to get caught on the strings. So, a little tip, let me see if two tips. Let me see if I'm in shot. Don't have the finger too much don't have too much of the finger passing beyond the string. Try and have just the tip of the finger brushing over the strings, then it's much less likely to get caught under the string. Okay, so that's one thing, so that it looks like this. Yeah, it's really gentle. I'm brushing, I'm not digging in. Yeah, I'm just brushing. The second tip is, look, allow that joint in your finger, if it can, allow it to be floppy when you do your up strum, yeah? Because that means, rather than if the finger was rigid, it's much more likely to catch, yeah, one hard object hitting another hard object, the string, the steel string. So if you kept your finger rigid, much more likely to catch on the string, whereas if you have your finger loose and allow that joint when it hits the resistance of the strings to actually bend like that a bit. I'm not saying it has to go like that, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, have a look. This is the actual, something like this is how my finger looks when I'm actually strumming with this this up strum, yeah. So I allow that finger joint to be loose, and then it's much less likely for my finger to get caught on the strings, okay? So down, when I strum down, as usual, my first finger is in this crook position, this sort of arch or claw position, and then when I strum up, I'm letting it move like that, letting that joint be loose. So thumb, down, up, okay? And like I said, we can count that as 1E and a 2E and a, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's our unit, okay? And like I said, he shows the right amount of bars, and I'm going to show you, I'm looking at the lyrics now, the lyric sheet, the ultimateguitar.com lyric sheet. So we've got the intro, which is that's it once, and it says times 2, okay? How long did I spend on each chord? Exactly what I'm about to do for verse 1, okay? It's just basically, it's the chord sequence of the first half, of a verse, yeah? Because you've got C, E7, A minor, and then F, G, C. And I spent a bar on C, a bar on E7, 2 bars on A minor, second bar being A minor 7, yeah, but they're almost exactly the same chord. Then bar on F, bar on G, 2 bars on C. And that is exactly what you do for the first 2 lines of lyric of the verse. So here we go. This is the first day of my life. Swear I was born right in the doorway. And now that's the first 2 lines, yeah? So I just had 2 bars of C there. Then we got the second 2 lines, I went out in the rain, yeah? So 2, 3, 4. I went out in the rain, suddenly everything changed. Spreading blankets on the beach. Okay, now, as you may have noticed, I can't remember how he scans those last 2 lines. But in terms of what I'm doing on the guitar, it doesn't matter. As long as I play 1 bar of C, 1 bar of E7, 2 bars of A minor, 1 bar of D7, 2 bars of D7, 1 bar of G, 1 bar of G7, yeah? Okay, so that was 1 bar of C, 1 bar of E, 2 bars of A minor, second bar being A minor 7, then 2 bars of D7, 1 bar of G, 1 bar of G7, yeah? Then we have, they don't call it verse 2, but where it says yours is the first face that I saw. So it's, I'm going to call it verse 2 because it's the exact same thing that we just did. Or I can just say that this is, okay, the second half of verse 1, but the chord sequence that we just did is exactly repeated, exactly, yeah? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yours is the first face that I saw. Think I was blind before I met you. I don't know where I am, I don't know where I've been, but I know where I want to go. Okay? So that's the verse, and that's exactly the same for whenever the verse happens. Again, verse 2, verse 3, yeah, however many there are. Okay, then we got the chorus. Now, the chords slightly differ in the ultimateguitar.com. They show you slightly simpler version than in his version. His version is right. Okay, so let's try that. So I thought I'd let you know. So we got 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. These things take forever. I especially am slow. I especially am slow. Right, so that third line of the ultimateguitar.com, where it says C, then C/B, that's where he plays C, then an E, then A minor. The main thing is about the timing, and let me go back to his tab. So we've got 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4. So I thought I'd let you know that these things take forever. I especially am slow, but I realized, okay, let me get that. So I thought I'd let you know that these things take forever. I especially am slow. So from the beginning of the chorus, I've forgotten the words already. Terrible. So I thought I'd let you know. These things take forever. I especially am slow. Okay, that can take some getting used to, but it's not difficult. It's just something to get used to. Timing wise, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Yeah. So now I will look at the words. So I should be able to get them right. 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2. So I thought so 1 2 3. So I thought I'd let you. It's just a strum, isn't it? 1 2 3. So I thought I'd let you know. These things take forever. I especially am slow. I'll do that again. It's new to me. Right, so 1 2 3. So I thought I keep going around. 1 2 3. So I thought I'd let you know that these things take forever. I especially am slow. But I realized that I need you, and I wondered if I could come home. Right, so that bit of the chorus where in ultimateguitar.com they say D sus2, not quite. It's where he says, what does he call it? He calls it EA sus4 /F. Yeah, so there's chorus. Okay, so you've got the so how many bars of this have you got? You got 1 2 3 and 4 and 2 2 3 and 4 3 2 3 and 4 and 4 2 3 and 4 and then you've got a bar of C, this E7 sus4, nice chord, and then A minor 7 for 2 bars. So let me do that for you. So remember it's, and when you're moving to this, what he calls A sus4 /F, you're going from an A minor, and what I would do is I would use my second finger as an anchor finger, take off fingers 1 and 3, that's right, take off fingers 1 and 3. Second finger moves from the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret and of the D string, and then first finger goes back on the 2nd fret of the G string, and third finger goes back onto the fretboard on the 3rd fret of the B string, obviously in relation to the capo, and then you get that sound, yeah. and then that goes on for, what did I say, 4 bars, and then you've got a C, E7 sus4. Does that sound remind you of Mamas and Papas? What is it? Walked into a church. Yeah, the name will come back. You know the one. So you got C, E7 sus4, A minor 7, and then you got the A sus4 / F again, which is where he does the finger picking. We'll get onto that, and then just take this shape up 3 frets. So then you take it up here, yeah, in relation to the capo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then if you can get your little finger up to that frets 8 in relation to the capo, which will be the double dot fret actually. Great. Okay, let me try and do the whole of the chorus for you then with the words. So we've got 4 bars on this A sus 4 / F, and then C, then your E7 sus4, and then A minor 7 for 2 bars. So let's see, 1, 2. So I thought I'd let you know these things take forever. I especially am slow, but I realize that I need you, and I wondered if I could come home. Yeah, so that's that. So we got up to our last 2 bars of A minor, and why does this keep moving? Right, we got up to our last 2 bars of A minor, or A minor 7 as he's got it written in his tab, and then you've got the A sus4 again, A sus4 / F, but this is where you see the picking, yeah? And like I said, then you take that shape 3 frets up and you get the F minor. The F minor over A flat. Now, he's got picking. We'll have a look at that right now. But just to say, you don't have to pick there. You could do exactly the same strumming pattern. So you could be going from that like the C, E7 sus4. The lyrics have stopped here. A minor 7 for 2 bars. I could do that, yeah, that strumming pattern again. I'm picking the lowest note of the A sus4 / F. So you want the lowest note to be that F note, or the 3rd fret of the D string, yeah? You don't want to hit that open A, you want it to be that 3rd fret of the D string. So 2 bars on that, and then 2 bars on the F minor / A flat. If you can only manage just this shape, then that open top E string isn't too bad. But if you can manage to get your little finger 2 frets up on the thinnest D string, it kind of sounds nice then, yeah? If you wanted to do the picking pattern, remember it's got the rhythm. He's showing you the tab, but he's giving you the rhythm underneath, hasn't he? The stems. So you see that they're all 16th notes, except for the last note of the 2 bars of A sus4 / F, and the last 2 bars of F minor / A flat, where you've got an 8th note. So that means 1 and 2, 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and or you could counter, you know, if you're thinking in terms like we've been thinking, if you're thinking in terms of 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah. 1 One is counting it, like I said, in eighth notes, one in 16th notes, but it's the same sound. One E and two E and one E and two E and one and two and three and four and one and two and three and four and okay. And maybe you can see I'm doing all that with thumb and fingers 1 and 2. Yeah, so thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb. And then you take the shape up 3 frets, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and yeah. Oh yeah, he hasn't written that last one quite right. That again is an 8th note. I mean, it lasts twice as long as the other notes, so you get that sound of 1 and then you're into the next verse. Yeah. And so we've covered a verse and a chorus structure. That happens every time. That happens every time there's a verse or a chorus. Yeah, it's that structure. And he gives you, he's giving you the strumming pattern, and then you see he's giving you picking, follow this pattern throughout. The timing is, if I count in 8th notes, it's easier to keep in your head, I think, rather than 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and but it's the same rhythm, yeah? It's just, so why are they counting it in 16th notes at all? Why is this 2/4 rather than 4/4? Because it's going by so fast, it's easier to write it as 16th notes than 8th notes, yeah? It's just easier for the person transcribing it. So, but I'm going to count it, like I said, in 8th notes because it's easier to keep in mind, I think, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rather than 1 E and 2 E and. But this is the sound. Yeah, that's the rhythm of it. Ba ba da ba da 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 da. And then, as he said, he only shows you 4 bars of that pattern because it's, you just applied the exact same pattern to every chord. So these were 5-string chords. Next chord is an F, 4-string chord, so your thumb obviously moves to the root note of the F. You're not going to still play the A string, you're going to play the D string. And then it goes to G, and your thumb is going to go to the low E string because you're going to get the root note, the lowest note of the G chord. Your 2 fingers can stay on these same strings, the top 2 strings. So I hope that's okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you've got, oh, and I am using fingers 1 and 2 for the top 2 strings. Finger 2 on the thinnest string and finger 1 on the B string, the second thinnest string, yeah? And obviously my thumb for the bass notes. So timing, 1 and 2 and, that's the first bit. So thumb is on the beat, 1 and 2 and, finger plucks an and. 1 and 2 and 3 and, finger plucks an and again. So the fingers are plucking the and of the 2 and the and of the 3, and then the thumb plucks finally beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now, that's all well and good if you got 2 guitars. By itself, it sounds a bit empty, doesn't it? And it's also, given that it's syncopated, that is, you know, you're playing offbeats, there's accents on the offbeats, and you're not moving your hand all the time. You're actually stopping in between the notes. That makes it really difficult to get that rhythm. I mean, you can do it, it just takes quite a lot of practice. But when your hand isn't constantly moving to keep the rhythm, it's like that thing of strumming. If your hand doesn't constantly move down, up, you will go out of time. That's why people keep strumming, and that's why it's the basis of strumming. You know, just move the hand all the time. And sometimes apply it to the strings. That's the basis of strumming, that's the basis of keeping in rhythm. Kind of the same for finger picking, which is the great thing about Travis picking. You're always, pretty much always playing something. You're always on the move, so your hand is always moving to keep the rhythm. So rather than, there's a lot of space in between the movements, in between the notes. And in those spaces, it's difficult to keep time if you're trying to do something else as well, i.e. singing. If you're not, if you're the second guitarist, somebody else is singing, somebody else is strumming maybe, and you're going, then fine. Yeah, then it's much easier if that's your only job. But because it is difficult to do that picking pattern and sing, and also I suppose because it sounds a bit empty by itself, a bit sparse, he gives you the options of doing the hybrid strumming and picking, or the one and two and three and four. Is that what he does? Let's have a look. 1 and 2. Okay, so he's using that note rather than that note, but it's a thing of thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb second. So he's using, as the treble notes, yeah, thumb is going between the A string, this is for your Travis picking, the thumb is going between the A string and the D string. And fingers 1 and 2 are being used to get the G string, the top E string, and the B string. Yeah, so you could use 3 fingers and have them assigned to the top 3 strings, in which case it would be thumb first, thumb third, thumb second, thumb. Whoops. Thumb first, thumb third, thumb second, thumb first, as in fingers. Thumb, first finger, thumb, third finger, etc. But I find it easier just to use my first 2 fingers and to go thumb, thumb first, thumb first, thumb second, thumb second, thumb first. Thumb first, thumb second, thumb second, thumb first. Or thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb first. Yeah? Up to you. Yeah, I might do that actually. Thumb first, thumb first, thumb second, thumb first, thumb first. Okay, and then just as with Travis picking, you just adjust it to how many strings your chord is. So finally, the hybrid option, quite difficult, that one. Worth getting used to. Now, so you see what he does is thumb, I'm starting on a C, I'll just demonstrate it on the C chord, yeah? And again, of course, because this is basically bass strum style, but with an up pick, of single strings involved. Your thumb will be picking the bass note of each chord, yeah? So if it's a 5-string chord, it's picking the A string. If it was a 6-string chord, it's going to be picking the low E string, yeah? So he's got 1 and 2 and. Thumb, strum down with the first finger, and then a pluck up. Now you could either do this pluck up with the first finger, or you'll see him do it with the second finger. So he strums down with the first and then plucks up on that string, on that top E string, with his second finger. Then we got thumb again. And then a pluck. And this pluck is on the of a single string. This is the B string, and he plucks that with the first finger. So he's basically assigned fingers 1 and 2 to the top 2 strings. He's plucking the thin E string, top E string with his second finger, and he's plucking the B string with his first finger. Yeah, every time. So whichever way you do it, you might do the whole thing with your first finger. Pluck, down, up. Pluck, down, up, thumb, pluck, down strum. Yeah? You might find it easier to do the whole thing with one finger, absolutely fine. Or you might find it easier to do as he's doing it, assigning, as I said, finger 2 to the top E string and finger 1 to the B string. So, but you're going to strum down with your first finger. First finger strum down, pluck top E string with second finger. Then thumb first and then down strum. Okay, so because this is new to you, I would break each bar. I would just practice on one chord at first. Just practice on that C chord. One bar, and break it up into 2 sections. This is the first section. So that's thumb, first finger down, pluck up with the second finger. I think I find it easier to do the pluck up with the first finger. But it's probably good practice to do it as he's doing it. So let's do it like that. But I guess I said that because if you found I will never get used to doing this with fingers 1 and 2, there's, and you find, I feel I could work with this option of doing it all with the first finger. It's not wrong, yeah? Somebody will play it like that. Paul McCartney would have played it like that because he played Blackbird with just the thumb and first finger. He played the whole thing with just the thumb and first finger. Okay, so we've got, break the bar into 2 sections. The first section is thumb down with the first finger and pluck up with the second finger. Don't worry again if you don't get much volume. Worry about volume later. Just worry about the movement first. Thumb first, second. Because however weird it feels at first, if you practice it and you little and often, in a week's time it's going to start feeling this is okay, and in a month's time it'll feel you won't even think about it anymore probably. So and again, a little tip, when you do that up pluck with the second or first finger, allow the joint to be loose, and then there's much less likelihood of the finger getting caught on the string and thus buggering your rhythm up. Yeah, so we got, that's the first part. The second part of the bar is thumb first and first down strum. Thumb first and then it down strums. Yeah, so I practice those 2 movements separately. The first movement, thumb first, second. That's the first movement. The second movement, thumb first, first. First movement, second movement. them together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Etc. Okay. Okay. I wasn't planning on putting that all in one video because I thought I'd split it up. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry about that. That is a long one. But it's all there. It's all there. Watch the video in sections. Right. All right. And I will now have a glass of wine. All right. Good evening. Bye.